Hey everybody, I came to my car on my lunch break and I just want to kind of chime in and just add, I think I wanted to just try to engage you all a little more during the week instead of just on the weekend. So anyway, I came to my car to eat on my lunch break so that I can film a portion of this vlog. So, and I was just kind of thinking about a few things about self improvement, about self awareness, just things that we can focus in on that will help us to be better individuals. And so, I want to ask you two questions. For myself, it's a constant. How can I say this? It's a constant objective of mine for me to try to be mindful of how I interact with people when individuals do things that upset me, when they, whether it's intentional or unintentional, when they do things that I would view as manipulative. I am really, and I know I'm saying a lot. I went through a speech class, and when I had to record my videos, this is a little off topic, but when I watched the videos back, um, I noticed that after a classmate mentioned that I say a lot. And so I just do that when I think. So I'm going to try to be mindful of not saying so much. Anyway, one of the things that I try to do is I also try to be mindful of how I interact with individuals. So when I feel that people are doing things that's considered that I will consider manipulative, or if they do something that I don't like, I try to look at the person that I'm dealing with. I try to look at the situation that I'm in. I also try to look at what has happened to me throughout the course of the day at up until that point. And the reason being is I don't think that we as individuals realize that our own stresses or stressors affect how we receive what is happening to us. And what I mean by that is if a person does not necessarily intend to upset you or intend to offend you, it can still come across as upsetting or offensive if you are already postured that way. So, what I want you all to think about is the next time you're in a situation where you feel like someone has wronged you, or maybe the communication is a little off, or it is just a good learning opportunity for you. It's not, things are not quite going the way that you would like for them to. I want you to stop and think about, before you react, if you have an opportunity, how can you react positively regardless of how you're feeling in that moment. And if you are in a particular mindset or in a particular mode set, and when I say mode set, I'm thinking, are you in go-go mode? Are you in stress mode? What mode are you in at that point, and what mindset are you in at that point? And to also consider the fact that if someone is doing something that you feel like is a negative, has a negative impact on your own personal being, especially if it's not intentional, it can actually set off a domino effect of other problems if you are not in the position to be able to interpret what is going on because you're in the wrong mode or you're in the wrong mindset. So that's the first thing. I want you to try to use each individual experience as a learning opportunity. And this is not, I'm not talking to you, I'm also talking to myself, because you have to practice. Life itself is a constant test. It is a constant learning opportunity. It is a constant. You always have to be of the mindset that you want to be open to learning from whatever your experiences are. I have had some really, really impactful things happen to me, around me, and because of me. And I'm constantly if I catch myself, because I don't always catch myself, if I catch myself, I'm constantly looking at how does or how will my reaction to whatever is going on impact that particular situation and the people that are directly connected to that situation. One of the reasons that is important is because, prime example, if you have a spouse or significant other and they come home from work and they are really having a bad day, or they had a bad day, and when they come in, instead of you, maybe you had a bad day too. Sometimes what I think about is, if I have a bad day, my husband had a bad day, I have had time probably to decompress because I get off work before he does. And that allows me an opportunity so that when he comes in, if he's had a bad day, I can say to him, what happened, and just kind of, I can stub my toe, which basically means that I cannot think about what I'm going through because I'm so focused on what he's going through or what he went through. And then I feel better because I was able to help him. So say, for example, if you don't have a chance to decompress and you recognize that you're both pretty much in the same place because, they have had a bad day and you've had a bad day. And it's really hard to communicate when you are in such a negative space. It may be necessary for you to wait. If you're the type of person that can back burner those emotions long enough to focus on your significant other, that's awesome. I'm not always able to do that, but like I said, if I have an opportunity to decompress, I'm actually in a better place than he is when he comes home, because that's just it. He's home and he's dealing with whatever has happened to him throughout the day, and he's just really wanting to be in our sanctuary and not have to focus on that anymore. But in a way for a person to not have to focus on that is by being able to purge themselves of it with someone that they can trust, so that they can be 100% in their own element. They can be 100% genuine about how they feel about whatever has happened to them. And then once that information is out, then they can take a deep breath, take a step back, and then move on to something else. So that is what I'm working toward, not just, when I go home, but also in my work environment and when I'm in other situations, because it's hard. It's hard dealing with so many. I work in a department with, well over 50 some odd, almost 60 people, if not already 60. And the majority of them are women. And there are so many different personalities. Even if I find someone whose personality is similar to mine, they have these little things that, to me, they're quirky because we didn't grow up the same way. Or if I find somebody that, was pretty much raised the same way I was, our personalities are still not quite. You're not going to find somebody who's identical. I hear people always say, oh, my hair twin, oh, my this twin, oh, my that twin. And I'm like, truth be told, even real biological twins aren't as similar as what they think. So we have to recognize the fact that God made us who we are. We are our own brand of individual. There are doppelgangers. We joke about having a doppelganger, out there in life. And even with that being the case, there's still some differences. You're still an individual. And so I'm going to leave you with this. I am a firm believer that your emotions, your feelings, they're 100% your own. Imagine them as a possession. Your vehicle, your house, your clothes, those things belong to you, and your emotions belong to you. Never, ever, ever allow anyone to tell you that you don't have the right to feel a certain way. Oh, you should be over mourning the passing of a loved one. Or a girl, I offended you 15 years ago. You should be over it by now. Well, guess what? You should be over the fact that I'm over the fact that you're trying to tell me how to feel. And nobody has a right to do that, because I don't pretend to have the right to tell someone else how to feel. You have to take possession of those things. They belong to you already, but you have to claim them in order to process how you feel and to be able to move on to whatever that next step is. You yourself have to recognize that you possess these things, and you have to take ownership of those and hold them close enough to you so that you can really experience whatever it is that you're dealing with, and then you can take a deep breath and take that step forward into that next place, whether it's an elevation, whether it's a lateral move, as long as it is not going backwards or going beneath who you are. You always want to aspire to be more. You want to aspire to be better. You want to aspire to be the difference, in which is a representation of who you are. You always want to be a person who can see themselves or see their self. I want to see me as a better version of myself. I still want to be who I am, but I want to be a better version of myself. I never want to be who I used to be, and I never want to be less than what I am and what I deserve. Never, ever. There's no fun in that. There's no progress. Progress is a forward-thinking mindset. You cannot have a forward-thinking mindset if you never want to progress. In order to progress, we have to grow. In order to grow, I'm so sorry to have to be the one to tell those of you who feel like you don't have to go through anything, or because you're going through something, it's the worst possible something you can go through. No. Try not to think of it that way. Try to think of it as, this is how I get my stripes. This is how I develop my personality. This is how I know what I don't want to do. When you process the thought that everything that you go through in your life is to create a more secure foundation, because the more you go through, not to say that you always have to go through something, but don't think that you won't go through something, but the more that you go through, the stronger it should make you. It should make you stronger. I'm not going to say it won't break you first, because some things that I've been through broke me. I'm telling you, down to the studs, down to the nails, down to the bolts and the screws, broke me down, like my kids used to say, broke me down like a fraction. Yes, it has in the past. But I recognized where I was, and once I realized what had happened, it was my responsibility to pick myself up. I'm not going to say dust yourself off and all that, because that's cliche. But to pick myself up and to look at my situation and figure out how I am going to decide what this does to me. Is it going to make me a stronger individual, or is it going to keep and continue to handicap me? And out of everything that I have been through in my life, I promise you, it makes a huge difference that when you get to that fork in the road. And I refuse to allow things that come to defeat me to win. So I didn't get to the second one. We'll probably get to the second one another day. But I wanted to stop in and just let you know, first of all, love yourself. It matters not how many people say that they love you if you don't love you, because that's where it starts. You love yourself. When you love yourself, you want more for yourself. Just the same way you want more for your children. You want more for your family. You want more for you. And so I'm going to end you with the thought that if you allow every life lesson to be just that, imagine what all you can learn. Have a good one. Bye now.